Let the fun begin. Sharing Abraham Hicks' teachings with the world is really a joy, and it's been a real adventure watching the unfolding of everything from when I started April 11 years ago. So much fun. So many wonderful relationships. And the ones that I do have are better. If anybody is joined in for the first time, then put in the chat box. We'd like to know where you're at, and let us know how long that you've been following Abraham Hicks. And we're just going to take a few minutes to see how many people are going to be joining. This is our very first live stream that we're going to be sharing with everyone, and we're quite excited about the possibility of being able to build a community of people that want to have a greater understanding. And I want to be able to share my 10,000 plus hours of experience with Abraham, and also to be able to fill in some of the gaps, help people on their journey, not just with Abraham Hicks, but when you think about it, Abraham Hicks is the pure essence of vibration, frequency, and energy. And when you talk about vibration, frequency, and energy, it's really what it is. It encompasses everything for the spiritual journey that we're going to need. And the wonderful part about it is Abraham, through Esther, at the workshops and in the recordings, shares her stories to let us know what's been happening in her life that has helped her to develop more clarity, a greater understanding, and to be able to move forward with these teachings, because she's also been a student of all of this work. And some of the stories have been actually quite interesting, and lots of them usually are quite funny. And happy that she's able to share that with us and impart her wisdom of her journey since day one. So that's been actually very, very helpful for all of us. And I'd like to said use this as an opportunity. Use this as an opportunity to be able to share a lot of the things that I've learned over the years, and not just doing the Abraham. That's one of the wonderful things, is that I've had the opportunity to do other energy work that has helped me to expand my understanding of the Abraham teachings, which has been kind of cool, because it said when you realize that a lot of things that you probably have done and a lot of things that we are doing, they all the different types of teachings, and usually the terminology is they refer to them as modalities. And when we look at these modalities and how all the dots connect together, so that's pretty cool, actually. So that to have that experience and to uh, be able to see how it all joins together. And it's, if you think about it, and an analogy is at the base of a mountain is huge. There's many different paths that lead to the top. And as Abraham always says, that there's no right or wrong or no good or bad. And you can't get it wrong because we'll never get it done because we are eternal. And that's one of the great things about this. We we all started somewhere on this journey, and the fun part is for not only for us to be able to learn for ourselves to have that impact on our own lives, but to be able to vibrationally and also through our own life experiences to be able to become an example for other people, but also to be able to uh, realize that as we expand ourselves vibrationally, that adds to the collective consciousness, and that knows no boundaries. So this is part of our all of our journey, and it doesn't matter where you start it. That's the cool part about it, because we all are on the path of our own journey, and it is unique to all of us. So I'm just going to take about another minute or two, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually share the video, uh, one of the videos that we're going to play, which is one of the Abraham shorts that we've done, so you can get an idea of part of what we're going to be going through here, and then we will take this and then we'll allow that to lead us into the lives. So see that you are welcome. I'm happy, Talima, that you've joined the channel, and now you've able connected on the webinar, and we're happy to be able to kind of connect all of our journeys together, and to see if we can actually help each other and grow ourselves on our own journey in our own way. And that's kind of the cool thing about it, is that we're all in this together, as Abraham says. And my experience has allowed me to look and see where are some gaps, um, from what we can help other people on their own journey. And that typically is that if people are on their own journey, and wherever that is, it doesn't make any difference. I find that from all the people that I met at workshops and from around the world, it's also to be able to figure out where everybody's at and how can we help them. And I've noticed that when I talk to people at the workshops, one of the interesting things is those people, a lot of those people, and I was one of those people that didn't actually have a big circle of people that talked about Abraham, followed Abraham. And my conclusion to that is Abraham is one of the, to me, the one of the highest levels of teachings that we can undertake, and to have a greater understanding of what this world is really all about on that spiritual journey. And so I think that I've met people that have followed it for 15 years, and then next thing I know, at the workshops, and we've developed a wonderful relationship. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead, because we've got a number of things to that we can go through, and I'm gonna play one of these shorts, and then what I'll do is I'm going to give my interpretation of it. And I just want to make something absolutely clear that even though I've had all of this experience, this is my interpretation because, like you, like me, and everybody, my journey on this and in all of it on the spiritual side is constantly evolving, and it's a daily thing for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to line this video up, and then I'll play it, and then I'll do my take on it. And then if you want to share like what your feedback or comments are, then and then I hopefully if you have any questions I can address some things and help you out. So I'm just going to bring the video up. Yes, it is amazing, isn't it? When you've only been on with Abraham for 3 months, and you've already experienced that shift, when that's a definite sign, okay, that you were ready for it, and it was ready for you. So that's kind of the exciting part. So I'm just going to line this video up. And we'll play it.
Come into your body with tremendous intention, really strong desire. You wanted to be out here on the leading edge of two things. We've not said this to you before. The leading edge of the new thought, because the contrast inspires you to a new take on life or a new decision or a new desire. But also, not just to the new desire, but you are the first who gets to witness the unfolding of that desire as the vibrations turn to thoughts and the thoughts turn to words and things.
It's amazing that so few words can have such incredible meaning. And when we start to realize that all of our own thoughts first come from a vibration of where we're feeling from, and that is the beginning of how we start to co-create, because we're co-creating with our inner being and actually with source. And each one of us has our own inner being. And that's one of the wonderful things about this, is that Abraham is the connection with Esther, and we all have our own version of that within us. And the thing for us to do is to get into alignment so that we can create that higher level of vibration, so we can have greater thoughts, greater creations, and therefore we can have greater clarity on the path of what we understand and what we want to create for our own life. And this is one of the cool parts of the whole experience. And now, Alima, if have you or who's ever joined, if you have any questions, or if you have, like, with what you just heard, what does that represent to you? Like, what does that mean to you? I know it's only been 3 months, but it's okay, because they said we all are somewhere and we're all are headed somewhere. And in 3 months from now, you could listen to the same thing and you're going to have a completely different experience. Do you have any questions or any thoughts or anything from the excerpt of the video that you just heard? Uh, yeah, we are uh, we are responsible about our life. And one of the simple things that I've learned over time is, the more and more and more that we start to understand that when you look at vibration turns to thoughts and thoughts turn to things. So that means that if we become responsible for our own thoughts, then what happens is we start to become consciously aware of where we're at. And one of the exercises that I learned a long time ago, even in traditional business, that actually applies here, because you may have heard, depending on how much you've listened to the number of the videos, that Esther's or Abraham's always talking about momentum. And that, I don't know if you ever heard or made reference to the 17 seconds, and paying attention to your thoughts for that 17 seconds, and then the next 17 seconds. And when you can accumulate that into 68 seconds, then what happens is, then that actually can carry you to momentum. And we know that life happens, and as we go out there and interact in the world, so what happens is, if you, like I said, this is the exercise. You can actually set your alarm on your phone or whatever you're using to go off at random times during the day or evening, whenever you have the chance to do it. And then if you take that, okay, and then when the alarm goes off, let's say if it's going to go off at 11:30 in the morning, and because you're just going about your day, and all of a sudden the alarm goes off, and that's a reminder that for take that moment, take 1 or 2 minutes, write down your thoughts, what you're thinking, and then look at it. Oh, you've heard about the emotional scale, I believe. Just let me know. That's very good. If you feel good, even if something's happened, because it's more important that we respond to things than we react to things. But have you heard about the emotional scale? Because what's important is that, and this is, I don't know if you've ever been to a workshop or not, but I mean, that's an experience that, okay, that's definitely something that, put it in your agenda for something that you want to manifest, because that experience is magical. And so, like, the emotional scale is, the whole idea is, you want to look at the top half, and like the tipping point. It's because that's written right on the card. You can actually bring it up online, the card. And then the tipping point is at boredom, and anything above that means that you're headed towards alignment. And the more you're headed towards that, so that's the whole purpose of the exercise that I learned a long time ago, that I could apply here, is that when especially when something happens, if you can take a minute and just record your thoughts, and go on, and then look at your thoughts and go, where am I at? And that way there, if something's headed on the wrong path, then the whole idea is that we can catch ourselves before it gets any momentum going. And the more we get that momentum uh, stopped, okay, when it's headed into the lower half of the emotional scale, then that means we're stopping allowing any negative thoughts, okay, to build and create that momentum. And that whole idea is that that's going to create conscious awareness. So how about people around me, like my family? I feel now disconnected. I think that when you start talking to more and more people, that no, your English is perfect. No, don't worry about that. That is, you're expressing yourself very well. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because I know that about that experience is that when we start doing this type of work, then what happens is very common, and then for me is I wanted to go because it felt wonderful, it felt good, and I wanted to go and share this with other people. Now, you share it with other people, and sometimes they look at us as if we're starting to grow 2 or 3 heads, or what are you talking about? And they don't, and so if they don't understand you, then the thing is that Abraham's always saying, do not try to explain yourself, because we don't owe anybody an explanation of where we're at on our journey. And but the thing is that we have to allow others, and one of the most difficult ones is around family, because when we see things that we have learned ourselves, it's very common that what we want to do is we want to go and help them. Now, we have to remember, you started wherever you started on your journey, and then one day you decided that, to ask deeper questions, you want to have more. I mean, I want to expand. I want to have more of this expansion. Oh, taking on my life. Now, when we do that, it's automatic for us as natural uplifters and givers that we want to go and extend all of that to other people. But the thing of it is that I learned, it took me a while to really kind of catch myself from going, I'm in a different place than what they are. You were ready to hear what you heard and to understand what came to you, because we're always receiving messages all day, every day. The question is, how tuned in are we to where those messages are coming in, to how we understand them? I'm sure that you've had these experiences of, you're out and about somewhere, and then what's happened is somebody has something has happened, and all of a sudden you just had a feeling to to go somewhere, and you don't know why. Like, all of a sudden, because you were going this place and now all of a sudden you decided to go there. Well, that's actually source and your inner being lining you up, because it knows where you are at all times in relation to where you want to be. So the idea is that you're going to go in that direction, follow the feeling. Don't follow, like, because the mind's going to go, and what are you doing? I will want it to go there. Follow that feeling and go with that. And then you're going to have this synchronicity experience. So yes, they are guiding you. You are being guided. You're being guided all day, every day. And that's the wonderful thing about it, is because when you start to listen to that inner feeling, it's the thing that you can trust 100%, that it's always got your back. Source and your inner being loves us 100% with unconditional love. So it's always looking out for us. And as I try to imagine that, you're like, I way I kind of describe it sometimes is, there's 8 billion people on the planet, so there's 8 billion chessboards, and Source understands where everybody's at in relation to where you want to be. So your desire creates that. And where contrast comes into play, to teach us more clarity about what we want. So that's the part where contrast becomes our teacher. It just happened to me now. I feel my way out rather than thinking. That's exactly right. And also your intuition will never steer you wrong. You're absolutely right. So if you follow that feeling, because that feeling is the intuition that is creating a greater connection between you and your inner being, and a greater connection to, it can be called source energy, it can be called infinite intelligence. Some people call it God. Whatever terminology, it's just to me, it's just another form of the higher sense of that energy. I call it source or infinite intelligence. And so that we can always trust 100%. I know sometimes trust becomes a thing that we have to learn to adopt also because we've had human experiences. But if we allow ourselves the time to take this all in, and then what happens is when we listen to the feeling, we start to develop a greater conscious awareness. And so that means that that vibration they were talking, that Abraham was talking about in the video, turns to thoughts, and then that thoughts turn to things. Now, the way that it happens is as soon as we create any desire, and that comes as a result of contrast that we've experienced. So that step one that Esther or Abraham's talking about for the asking, what that does is we've created the desire. Now the second part is on your inner being and source, and they take care of that. And that's what we're not used to as humans. We're used to, all right, I got to go do this. But actually that will slow the process down, because when we turn it over to our inner being and source, it has a greater viewpoint of energetically, vibrationally, where we are in that moment. Because every single day, the things that we're going to learn today are going to cause us to evolve. And even through the course of this day, we're going to create changes within ourselves. And most often, those are subtle changes that we don't always notice. But as you've noticed now that you look at your family differently, and naturally, because of the love you have for your family, you want to go and share this with them. But remember, you were ready to hear this and understand it for yourself. They weren't ready for that. And even though our intention is good, if they're not ready to hear it, they don't hear it, because you know that a high vibration, when you're operating on that high vibration, you don't match up with anybody that's on that lower vibration, that lower vibration. So what happens is the higher vibration that you're on is going to, the source and your inner being is going to match you up with experiences, synchronicities throughout the day that it might not seem like it at the time, but all of this is going to be leading and guiding you on your path. Because if you ever notice that you woke up in the morning, you had certain thoughts, and then all of a sudden you asked a greater question, a deeper question, then as a result of that, then you started your day, and then all of a sudden something shifted because you went to somebody and you had an experience. And if you're on the high vibration, it's going to be a positive experience of some kind. And then you could be looking for something. You're in need of something. And then when you're on that higher vibration, so try to imagine Source is working with all of the other people on the planet, because like through the internet, we can connect with people all over the world. And then we have our interactions with in the physical sense on a daily basis. So it's looking out there, knowing exactly where everybody's at. And when we're a match vibrationally and energetically with that other person that can help us bring us another step closer in our journey to where we want to be, then it's going to somehow, some way create that match for us. But also remember that if we're on the lower end of the vibrational or energetic scale, then it does that too. And so the idea is that if we become more and more consciously aware where we're at vibrationally, then what happens is we pay attention to that. And then as a result of that, what we're doing is we're raising our conscious awareness of where we're at any given time. it's like when you're more conscious awareness you have, you walk into a room, you're tuned in to your alignment, and I'm sure you've had this experience. Anyone here, if you've had this experience, then what happens is you just notice that the something is off in that room, whether it's something with the type of people that are there, or if it's the subject of what they're talking about, but there's something off. So you can always trust when you're on the higher vibration that your source and inner being is going to guide you around those lower vibrational things. So the intuition comes, and that is just basically like it's a like the emotional scale becomes like a guidance system. So it's like your compass. So that means that you can, when we pay attention to that, because when we realize that and have that 100% level of trust in it, then that will always guide us to the right place, to the right people, to the right circumstances. Even if the mind's saying, wait a minute, I didn't intend to go here. Follow that feeling that you're developing. That's the best guidance and the best compass that you can have to be able to do that. So high vibrations equal good feelings, right? Absolutely. Absolutely do. They actually create the high vibrations comes from the good feeling. So when we're feeling good, so the more you have them, what happens is that's where the attraction comes in, because remember, these 8 billion people that are on the planet, there's a lot of people that have something in common with us, whether we're going to be interacting with them physically through the internet, but we are interacting with everybody energetically because we're all one. So it's everything is based out of source. So there's no separation. Now, the cool thing about it is that when we pay attention to that higher vibration based on us feeling good, and we just go with the flow of it. Now, most of the world, and I grew up, for instance, in building traditional business where, work hard, struggle, suffer, go through all of these things. And you need to go through, that expression. Quite often it's used when people go to the gym, they say, no pain, no gain. That's not true at all. So the idea is that when we were born, we actually understood at that point, before other life experiences got in the way, we actually understood that when we reached a point of discomfort known as pain, well, then that's not where I want to stay. That's not where I want to be. So that awareness. But the question is, what happens as we're growing up, what we take on as a belief system. But remember, all of those things, wherever we are at in our journey, all of that is a teacher. All of it is a teacher. And we are where we are because of all of it. So when we embrace that contrast and we embrace our journey with no regrets, we realize that all of it was a great teacher, and I learned a lot as a result of it. So now, quick, easy ways to raise your vibration during the day. Well, as I said, part of one of the ones, meditation is definitely and listening to Abraham helps a lot. Halima, I don't know if you've ever heard of sound frequencies, and more importantly, solfeggio sound frequencies, because the reason I'm mentioning it, because I've been listening to those for 11 years now, at the same time that I did the deep dive into my Abraham experience. So I've got about 10,000 hours of listening to those, and those natural ancient frequencies help to recalibrate our system right down to our cellular level. So meditation is a quick, easy way. Now, we don't need to do meditation for long periods of time. I mean, if you do it for an hour, that's wonderful. Um, but I can give you a recommendation if you want a channel to listen to just to try to see if it resonates with you, because that's one of the things that I always stress when people ask me about meditation or practices or things like that. You're on your journey, and everybody on here is on their journey, and I'm on mine. So for me, I can't tell you what is right for you. I can make suggestions based on my experiences and the results that I've gotten from it. More importantly, that feeling that we were talking about earlier, having that experience, if you would pay attention to that feeling, then what happens is that we shift more. So any tool or resource that we can use that is natural, and the whole key is that you want to have something that resonates with you. So that's what I mean. I can tell you something about many different types of meditation that I've done, but what is right for you, that is something for you. So that means, so there's a channel, okay, there's the channel there, that there's sound frequencies, they're called solfeggio sound frequencies. So those are ancient frequencies. There's 9 of them, of the natural ones, that naturally harmonize with our own body and our own frequencies. So that's one of the things that's really, really important to understand is, are they, because I don't know if you've heard or not, the vibrationally accuracy is important, because if something is vibrationally accurate, then there's, like, in other words, there's nothing else in it, and it's a natural frequency, then it's going to harmonize with the body easier, because like the vibrations just meet each other. And what I noticed for myself is I used to play them, and I still do every day, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a day, and even when I leave the house, because I want to have positive vibrations floating in my house, because energy goes everywhere, and I don't have any control over my neighbors or the people around me, so, and nor do I want to. So I play these frequencies, so they're continually, I just play them in the background. Like, you don't even actually need to, like, be watching them. You can just play them in the background, and it's very, very, very helpful. So the meditation, playing solfeggio. Now I've done other energy work. So, like, things like yoga. Like, yoga is kind of like a meditative exercise. I used to do a lot of Tai Chi and teach Tai Chi. Tai Chi is an internal martial art, and so it does very different forms of calibration in your body, because it helps you to create alignment physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally also. So this is the whole idea, is that as we're doing this work, because you may have heard the expression from Abraham, by very often they use the terms vibration, frequency, and energy. Now, when you think about it, that encompasses all of the things that we do energetically. Dancing, actually, you're right about that. When you can actually just, and for some people they want to prefer to do it this way, is to put on something that makes you feel good, and you dance according to how you feel. And then when you're moving your body around, the connection with the music and the frequencies and with your body is actually, that's another form of alignment. One of my favorites because I grew up by the ocean. One of my favorites is actually going to the beach, because to me, that's a natural form of alignment. Uh, Taking walks in nature. Now, this might sound strange, but uh, trees have their own infinite intelligence. And I don't know if you've ever studied like plants and trees and things like that. Those actually give you like the connection that they have energetically. They have actually have a system. Like, so in a forest, the trees actually are communicating with each other, and only on natural frequencies and natural harmonic energies. So when you are in nature of any kind, then that is allowing you to connect to that alignment that we're always looking for. Now, I want to share an experience that I had. Is I've been doing a lot of this work for 25 to 30 years, but it was about absolutely that trees are very, very powerful. Um, I, even though that I was doing this work, I decided 11 years ago to do a real deep dive into it. And when I did immerse myself into it, now you were talking about an experience you had with your family earlier, Lima, when as you've, even only 3 short months of listening to Abraham, and it's resonated so powerfully with you that that expansion of that energy is creating more love within you, and that you want to share with your family. But as I said, if they're not ready to hear, to have the same experience as you, then we need to allow them, so you can be what I refer to as a spiritual farmer. Don't try to explain it. Don't try to change their way of thinking, um, because if they're not ready to hear it, then what'll happen is it just creates more resistance from their side. And it could. I was actually talking with a lady the other day, and as a matter of fact, I was on the phone with my telecom provider, and customer support. A lady phoned me, not by accident, and then we ended up having a spiritual conversation, and she was sharing with me about how much she's changed her life by being on this journey, this spiritual journey, and taking on new energies and practicing modalities that have lifted her vibration. Well, her sister, one of her sisters in particular, she has tried insistently to influence her thinking and to get her to change her thinking. And she's come to the point, and we had this conversation for a while, was I told her, I said, just let her be, because she's on her journey. And as much as our intentions are good to help others, when they're not ready to listen or receive it, they will not understand it. And it just creates more resistance. And I don't know if you've ever heard Abraham say that you are getting happier because you're feeling more of that true sense of unconditional love within you. And as that expansion happens, they feel that. And actually, instead of being loving and caring about it, what happens from time to time is they actually don't like it at all. They want it. It's ironic because they want it. They want what you have, but they are they're not ready to listen. And that's really all it is. So it just takes a little bit of time. So just think of it as energy has no boundaries. So if we just let the love within us as it goes through its energetic and vibrational expansion, let that do it. Because remember, it doesn't stop at the walls that are around us, and it doesn't stop across the street. it actually floats around the world, and the higher vibrations become part of the entire collective consciousness. And when those people, whoever they may be, are ready to ask different questions, to have a different experience, then what happens is it's those people, whether it's your family or others, that you'll be like a magnet drawing those people to you, because now they're ready to hear what you have to say. And you're probably going to, more and more as you continue this journey, you're going to have people coming up to you and going, "What are you doing? What's going on?" Because you're different. So more people around you and outside of you are going to notice it faster than we notice it within ourselves, because we do subtle changes within us. We don't do quantum leaps. Quantum leaps are not sustainable. So if we, as we grow incrementally, because we're creating stronger desires every single day that we're on our journey intentionally, not just by default. And when those other people, whether it be our family, are, you know, they're coming around us, if you allow the energy to do its work, they'll either come around and ask different questions or they won't. And we have to be okay with that, because we cannot force anybody to change, because that just doesn't work. It just doesn't happen. Yeah, you stop trying now, but they are upset with me because you refuse to engage in their problem. Well, what you'll notice, they said I changed in a bad way, but when you're happy with yourself, here's the thing. The family is the hardest one because it's the closest one to us. So as you said, you love them unconditionally. Then what happens is, as you love them unconditionally, um, then don't try to explain yourself. Just be that loving, happy self. Let the energy work, because as much as they're saying that you've changed in a bad way, inside they're having a different conversation. They're saying, I want what you have, but I don't want to change to get it. So can I click the remote control and activate it? A lot of people want what we have as this grows within us. But one of the interesting things about it is a lot of people don't want to put in the work, so we can't do it for them. Like, I've had experiences from my involvement with addiction centers in the past, and I understood that somebody has to acknowledge, and this applies to this journey, this aspect of the journey also, because I spent 14 years in volunteering in those. And if you, people have to acknowledge that they have a problem. The second part is they have to be willing to ask for help. And the third part is that they have to do their part, just like we're doing, because we've all asked for help from source or inner being or infinite intelligence, or however refer to it. So when we refer to that and to learn from it in a greater sense, then we're opening ourselves up to a greater capacity. So naturally that expands within us. Now, as you've experienced, and this is a common thing, I'm the rebel in my family, and I think Social Impact was talking about they've had the same experience, but their family of trying to go and, because we got this, this bubbling cup that's full of love, and we want to go and share it with others, because we know, how good it makes us feel, and we naturally want to share it. The hardest thing is to only let it at the beginning, share it energetically, share it vibrationally, knowing that it's doing what it needs to do. When people are ready, just like we didn't notice it, but we were ready one day to go a little bit further in our journey, and then something else came to us. And then as we progress, our journey progresses because something else come to us. I don't know how much any of you have done on your journeys for different modalities and things like that, but as you will notice that you will outgrow some of your mentors and your teachers, and that's okay. One of the difficult parts is that we also, as we're doing this spiritual journey thing, we connect to other souls, like souls that are also on the journey, and we develop a social network with those people. So we're a part of a group for a long time. And I just had this experience last year, and I was a part of this energetic healing group for 10 years. And then all of a sudden, I'm completely stopped because it just wasn't serving me anymore. But you will find that we don't, you can still stay friends with people, because we should allow each other, to embrace these differences that we have. And we don't really have, like, I don't have the exact answers for anybody on here or anybody out there. We, with that's a self-discovery thing with source and our inner being and the work that we put in on our journey. So as I was saying, if those three components of, if people are not willing, family or otherwise, not willing to accept that they have a problem, not willing to accept if they want to get help, and accept that help, that's important, accepting of it. And the third thing is they got to do their part. We cannot do it for them. Believe me, I've tried myself, and I don't know if anybody else on here can relate to that. You may have had the experience that you try so hard because you know how much of a change it's had an impact in your life. And as a result of that, then you want to naturally offer that to other people. It's like a gift, but if they're not ready to receive that gift, then we just love them unconditionally. So that means that the easiest thing for us to do, tend to our own energies. And that sounds selfish. And remember, Abraham teaches selfishness. And this form of selfishness is good. We basically stand in our journey with our inner being, with our unconditional love, and the things and the people and the circumstances and events that you're drawn to and that will be drawn to you, then that means that those people are ready. And although they might have some resistance, that's okay, because we've had resistance before we've started this. And as we know from the stories that Abraham shares from Esther's life, she actually still to this day experiences that resistance and the contrast. So that means that if she's having those experiences, then we need to allow ourselves to have those experiences to grow on our journey. And I very often now, wasn't so much at the beginning, I'll sit down and say, like Esther said, I did that. And I did that too. And then just laugh at ourselves and realizing that when we lighten up on ourselves, because nobody is harder on us than ourselves. So when we can actually lighten up in that regard, then what happens is then we allow that love within us to grow with less resistance. And with that expansion, that means that we're more on the high vibrational frequency than the lower emotional scale frequencies. And that's where you'll notice that all of a sudden we come to a place where we accept where we are and know that anybody, because remember, we went out one day and we were guided somewhere, but mentally we wanted to go in another direction. But so you went to this store and then all of a sudden you met somebody. And as a result of meeting that person, something happened and it sparked a conversation or it created a synchronistic experience of just joy and happiness, that person was feeling joy and happiness, high vibration, and they shared it with you. So that made us more on the higher vibrational scale. So that was a good experience. And then we're off to the next one. And as I said, if you're looking for something, don't think of asking for help as a form of weakness. It's actually a form of strength. So, whatever you're experiencing, even on the high flying disc, whatever you're looking for in any regard to your life, then ask. Always ask for help. And we don't have to keep reminding because Source has very good ears and we only have to say it once. Unlike some of our human friends who we have to keep repeating to do. So if we understand some of the basic things and then allow ourselves to be where we are, we allow others to be where they are because we were in that place before we got where we are now. If that makes sense. Remember, we were all started someplace, and wherever we start, we're just on the path. So there's no levels. There's never any finishing anything because we can't get it wrong because we're never going to get it done. We are eternal. So if we keep on this path, if we really keep on this path, then better it gets, as Esther says through Abraham, the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets. And that's the fun part because, and there's a lot of people out there. I mean, a lot, the masses are, yes, we are eternal. And that's the part about it is that, so since we're not going to get it done, we can't get it wrong. So we should open ourselves up to greater experiences, more experiences to have greater joy. And the thing is, then there is no failing because we're not going to get it done. We're going to learn, we're going to evolve, we're going to grow. And as we grow, and as I was saying earlier, the more you do this work, the more you reap the rewards, the internal rewards of it, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, for everything. It all comes together as one for us. And when here's an interesting thing and something that I want to really try to get across for people that because Abraham, people ask, say, I've got a question, or I've got 5 questions, or I've got 10 questions, or 100 questions. And Abraham will always say, I only have one answer. And when we think about it, and this is what I'd like to express, is that no matter what the subject matter is in the videos and through the workshops and through the teachings that they're doing, in the teachings, it could be career, or it could be personal, it could be finance, it could be health, it could like any aspect of it. There's always a way to take that lesson from any part of that experience that is being asked when people are in the hot seat when they have that experience, and you can take that and you can transfer it because it's energy and vibration. You can take that and transfer it to any aspect of your life. That's the cool part. So it doesn't matter what you're listening to. So you might be on there one day and listening to an Abraham thing, and of course, like the subject matter goes it goes all over the place. I mean, I've been at the workshops, and what I've noticed is that there seems to be at the workshops. Here's how it actually works, and Abraham has explained this. Abraham, source, which is source, already knows who's going to show up at that workshop months and months in advance. It already knows. It's kind of wild, okay, to think of it this way. So they already know and they already know where everybody's at energetically, vibrationally, and all of that. And so we come together as a collective energy. And my experience, and I've gone to many, 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 many various types of workshops in all different aspects, especially on the spiritual journey. This energy, the people, this whole experiential thing is like nothing I've ever seen before. And I'll talk about it another time more, but I actually have been in the hot seat a couple of times. And I remember the first time, and briefly, is when I got up there, it was absolutely mesmerizing, to the point where I had people coming up to me after it was over asking me questions. And I only briefly knew what I said at the beginning and what I said at the end. And I said, well, I'm going to have to listen to it, the recording of it, because I don't even know how long I was up there for. And when I listened to it the first time that I was in the hot seat, it was only 4 minutes, but I had no idea. I did not have any idea. And I wasn't even sure of everything that I said. And when I listened back, it's actually on one of the recordings, and the second time was a lot longer, but the second time I actually felt like I was right at home. And I remembered it all because I was locked right in with Abraham. So these experiences that you're having, that I'm having with all aspects of your life, don't discount anything that we go throughout the course of the day. I even before I understood this, I used to try to look at it and say, if I can learn one thing from everybody that I meet, because I look at people and life like a revolving door. And, when you're in that area, there's usually 3 sections, and some people are coming in and some people are going out. Well, our life is sometimes like that revolving door where somebody comes in, or a circumstance or a situation or an event comes into our life for a very brief period of time, some for a little bit longer period of time. And sometimes the relationships that we build as a result of this is they become entrenched, and these people become a part of our life. Like, I met 2 people at the Terrytown workshop 2 years ago, and in the lineup, and both have actually become extremely good friends. We're in communication with each other. One was following Abraham for 15 years. One was following for 19 years. And they're asking me to teach them. And I'm thinking, so there's got to be something, like, to how to put all this together for people, because the workshops are powerful, the teachings are powerful, but this is why I wanted to do this. So not just from myself, but everybody's participation in bringing together everything where they're at and sharing, and we all learn together as a community, then we can put it all together uh, in a better way and a greater understanding. And then we create a greater expansion within ourselves. And therefore, the energetic expansion is going to have a greater impact. I don't know if you see it yet, but as you grow your energy, the impact you're going to have, because remember, the more expanded your energy, and I'm sure you're already having these experiences, and let me know in the comments, do you already have people coming up to you and noticing things that you're doing different and asking like, what are you doing? And they're noticing the subtle changes, the changes that are within you that you may or may not have noticed. That's just the beginning of it. It really, so the best advice, Alima, that I can actually probably offer is tend to your own energies. Pay attention, like adopt the idea. And I know that it's not easy, but adopt the idea of selfishness for yourself to fill your cup up so that it's overflowing with the unconditional love. Because when you tend to your own energies first and foremost, then we have more to give to others. If we focus on everybody else, it's great that we help people. That's wonderful. And we're everybody that I've ever met through this community of Abraham is a kind, caring, loving, uplifter, generous, like giving person. But when you think about it, there's a lot of people in great need out there. And we were one of them. And that's why we made a commitment to ourselves to change. So when you tend to your own energies, you grow that infinite possibilities of how many. So think of it, how much the energy can actually help people versus my time and whatever resources I have available. How many people can I help? So if you go to a center and you talk to a lot of people that are in dire need and they share their stories with you, it until your energy's in a certain place, lots of times we can take that on as, well, I need to help them. But as Abraham says, you can't get poor enough to help poor people. You can't get sick enough to help sick people. Doesn't work that way. Think of it in terms of energy. And if we have the energy capacity within us, then we can serve a greater number of people in more ways. You notice your husband's vibration rising as mine does. Absolutely, because he's in your field all day, every day. He doesn't have to follow Abraham or doing the work. He's actually living the work, because some people have an attunement, but he seems much more relaxed about things around him. That's because that's the energy working versus having communication through the mind. So you are absolutely welcome. It's my pleasure. So we're going to be doing this just before, in case anybody has to go. We're going to be doing one of these a week for the next couple weeks. And then after that, we'll probably ramp it up to 2 a week. And we'll try to match as good at times, and probably it'll be mixed between the day and the evening. So in relation to your husband, he's responding to the energy. So, but if you went to him and you tried to use your mind and saying, I need to change his way of thinking, then if he's not ready for it, he might do it to please you, but he's still feeling not 100%, like in alignment with you. If you do it energetically, Let me give you an example. One of the ladies that I met in the lineup in Terrytown, we didn't actually meet. She was listening to me having a conversation with the other two ladies, and that like so, and they came and sat with me, and and we connected that day, and we've stayed really really close ever since then. This other lady was with her husband, and he refers to this kind of thing as the woo woo stuff. You know what? I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure that you've already heard that expression, and you're absolutely right. The energy is the magic, because we're not trying to force anything, and people will do it on their own. They'll come around with the energy. So anyway, the following weekend, I was at another Abraham workshop, and I was sitting there having breakfast, and that woman and her husband came in that had heard me in a lineup, and they were just she was paying attention to my conversation. He was there supporting her. So like, and act like your husband, okay, he doesn't do the Abraham stuff and he doesn't do this. So what happened was that when she saw it and she looked at him, she goes, "That's the guy from Terrytown." And she goes, "I need to go and talk to him." And her husband just rolling his eyes and going, "Oh my God." She goes, "You're going to walk up to a total stranger?" She goes, "Yeah, I have to." So she just felt compelled. He was totally okay with it. And he just went and sat in the booth, and she came and talked to me. And and so what happened is that's a good explanation. I just see and feel about things we are talking about and leave it there. So think of it as a seed, and we're spiritual farmers. You plant the seed, and remember, like I was saying before, it's up to them to do their part. So this lady, we talked for about 40 minutes. She come over and introduced herself, and she goes, "Can I talk to you?" And I said, "Absolutely." So we had an incredible conversation, and I told her some things about her dad who had passed and a bunch of things, and her dog who had passed. And actually their dog was right there with us. And so what happened was they left, and then she turned to her husband and said, "I got to go back and talk to him." And so anyway, she came back, and as a result, we have stayed in contact. And she was the one who following Abraham for 19 years, and I've been helping to mentor her. And now she's going to leave her profession of 25 years, and this is her last year of doing it, to become a coach for people. And now the result is that her husband is happy that she has someone to go to the workshops with, someone to go and talk to about this, and it doesn't have to be him. He's living it through his life. He is an experience. So, in other words, he's not reading the books, he's not doing the workshops, but he's being supportive of her. He's helping. He's actually helping her to nurture her dream, and encouraging and inspiring her, and then helping her with her plan to get out of her profession. So that's pretty cool. That we There's some people that just live it naturally. They're just lit up. They're happy. They're easygoing. They go with the flow of life. They're not trying to force anything, and they don't do this. Now, that's just who they are. So they're a good match for each other, because she's supporting him, he's supporting her. And the greater she gets, just like you were talking about, the greater that your energy gets around your husband, he's going to feel it more and more and more. And it's going to be interesting as this evolves for you and the experience that you have. It's going to get special, and it's going to get magical. And he may never go to a workshop, he may never read a book, but the thing is that, remember, the energy, and I always refer to it as through osmosis, and that's why when we don't force it, because we don't want to have any more people telling us what to do in life. If we don't force it, then the energy works on its own and creates that expansion. So the harmony of the relationship grows, whether they're participating with but they are participating with you vibrationally and energetically. They don't have, because the words, as Abraham has told us, don't teach. And you are an example of becoming a better version of yourself through the energy and the energy training. And he's going to become a natural recipient of that by you being in that same field together in your relationship. So that's the wonderful part about it. When we realize, when we allow that and allow people to be where they are, when they are where they are and we allow that, then what happens is, if, and this is still an if, and when, hopefully, that they are ready, they will come to you at the time that it will not be a forced conversation. It will be, I want to know more conversation. And they're going to want to know what it means to you. They're going to want for you to express, because they see the change in you. They feel, more importantly, they feel the change in you. And as a result of that, there's going to, at some point, be a curiosity of knowing more. But regardless, all the while you're doing this, who's anybody that's in your environment, whether it's your significant other, your kids, or whatever, and as I said, your families, when you go to them, you don't even have to say anything. You just have to be. Allow them to be where they are, express what they express, do whatever they do. And yeah, I'm absolutely certain he feels the change in you. And that means that he might not ask the questions. And if you did answer, he may or may not understand. But having that feeling creates a greater sense of connection that cannot be duplicated other than through the energy means or the vibration. So that's when the more we understand that, we realize that tend to our own energies, grow ourselves from the inside out, create that expansion, allow other people to be where they are. And then you'll notice it's a better quality of question. Could be from the same people that you're in your circle, but if they're not ready, they will not listen. It's like that lady I said from the telecom company, when we talked for quite a while, and she talked about her sister, and she goes, I've had endless conversations with her. I've tried and tried and tried to tell her, you can't, that doesn't work that way. I said, it's not going to work. She's just going to get her shovel out and dig in. You're getting your shovel out and digging in. You're going to get frustrated. What's that going to do to your energy? That's not going to raise it. That's going to lower your energy. And if you lower your energy, then you're going to be at their level. And that's not what you want. So tend to your energies, allow them to be where they are. And it takes a while because this is a process. Remember, there's no end result here of, like I'm going to get a certificate at the end of the day and graduate. Doesn't work that way. Like, we don't graduate. We just keep getting better at it, and better things come as a result of it, and a better life as a result, better relationships, improvement in all aspects of our life. And the stress, like that's because in today's society, if we focus on the wrong things, that can turn us inside out, because we have to realize, what do I have control over? And really, the only thing is ourselves. That's it. I have control over what I think, how I feel, how I behave, how I respond or react if my energy's not right. Because remember, we all have days. I know I have mine where I wake up and I'm going, where's my alignment? And you look for the reset button, okay, and it just and you're not sure where it is, but you have fun with it. Like laugh at ourselves. Don't beat ourselves up, because we remember, loving unconditionally starts with ourselves. Self-care, self-love. We cannot give to others what we don't have within us. So that unconditional love is that's special, and it's magical. It's life-changing. And anyway, I if anybody has any other final comments or questions or anything, just wanted to let you know, on the channel, intentionally, we only yeah, you can't give up from an empty can. You can't give from an empty cup, that's for sure. We only post like right now, everything's only going to be from 2026. And I actually was fortunate enough to meet Esther personally and have a conversation with her 2 times at the Stanford workshop, which is already posted in videos on the channel. That was in June. And I was there with my good friend Laura, the one that I said that her husband said he was happy that somebody's going with her to these workshops and doesn't have to do all that, so he can go about his life. But it's I talked to her about it, and because when I had gone to the Philadelphia one 3 weeks earlier, there's a difference in the energy. So I don't listen to older ones anymore. There's still value in everything. It's still there's still insights that you can extract out of it, but the energy, because remember, even as we walk into a workshop or into each day, and as we're learning, we are evolving, and even into only one day, we are different, because we're taking in more, we're understanding more, we're growing expansion more. So that means that we are having a different experience with even the same thing that we had yesterday. So that's why we can't compare. So the idea is that this new content, and I talked to Esther about this, and I'm saying the message is more powerful, it's more amped up, it feels better. And so that means it's you are welcome. I'm very, very happy that you enjoyed this and that you've got something out of this. And so that means that I you're absolutely welcome, and I'm looking forward to creating like more and more of these, so we can have more of these conversations and share, learn, and grow as a community. And that means everybody has, all of the input uh, is important, because we can all learn from each other. There's nobody's in such a different place that we can't learn from each other. And that's one of the wonderful things about this, because there's 8 billion of us with 8 billion different perspectives. And then when we combine all those different things uniquely for ourselves, that's the part that is special, because everybody offers something different from where they're at. And that's really, really wonderful. And the workshops, I said that they just everything, and I'm looking forward to being able to share that more in detail. And there's just so much to be able to offer, and that means we can have fun, have fun with it and enjoy it and learn from it and then be happy. Have fun, be happy. That's what we're here for. And then let ourselves naturally go through this expansion vibrationally and energetically. And even when you're walking in a store, down the street, at an event, anywhere, you're going to energetically turn heads. People are going to feel something, and then you'll find that total strangers, as I have this happen all the time now, total strangers are going to come walking up to you and just start a conversation. That means that's a cue. You have something to offer. You're in a good vibrational place. They're ready to learn and they want to know more, even if you don't know each other. It'll just unfold. It's just so wonderful to have these experiences. So I want to thank everybody. Thank you very much for participating. This is the very first one that we've done. We're looking forward to growing it and bigger and bigger and better. And then I would imagine that we'll be also doing some webinars and things, and we're creating some other good things that we'll be able to offer down the road to help everybody on their journey. And thank you again. Have a wonderful, inspired day, and take care and go and be happy and have fun. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you all next time, and we'll put it out so that it comes out. Notification can come out for everybody. All right. Does anybody else have anything, final thoughts or questions that they have before I close this? You are welcome, Lino. It's my pleasure. My pleasure to do this. Okay. Everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.